Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
Right. Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, episode 26, or as I like to say, season 3, episode 2.
Woo-woo.
Which everyone else hates.
Brian likes it. It's just me.
As always, yep. As
I
always,
like everything, though.
As always, I'm Chopper, and with me tonight is...
I'm Brian.
I'm Rob. Brian's back.
Yeah.
Everyone say congratulations to Mr. Novak, who had missed last month for his nuptials.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Yay, congratulations.
Yay.
So, I take it everything went well with the wedding? You're still married, right?
Yes, still married.
Okay.
That's all that matters.
No, it was great.
So, that's good. So, quick ceremony throws, right?
What was it?
Quick ceremony, you didn't violate any health mandates?
Yeah, it was pretty quick. I think it was like, the whole thing was like 7 minutes.
Nice.
What'd you guys serve?
Mostly, just like cookout kind of stuff. So it was like hot dogs, brats, burgers.
Wow. See? People would say that wasn't a good fare, but brats, man, come on.
You're Chicago.
Yeah, it was, there was a bunch of family from Wisconsin, so we had to.
There you go.
Yeah, you could chat on a couple brats, man. It'd still be good, I'm telling you. So, all right. So, should we move on to the dropship? Talk about what we've been working on?
Sure.
I actually have stuff this time.
That's good.
Dropship landing.
All right. Welcome to the dropship. This is the episode where this is the segment where we talk about what we've been working on. And, Rob, I'm going to toss it to you.
I've been working on some stuff, mostly 3D printed stuff, but I also got my Kids Logic 13 to 15. It's a Super Valkyrie. I love these things, although shipping now is crazy. We went to buy the newest version, and the shipping from China has gone through the roof. I think they're in Hong Kong, technically.
Yeah.
And
it's
man,
ridiculous.
Yeah, it went crazy. But you could always get them from third parties, too. I know a lot of third-party companies are selling these. They have good distribution, but we were buying directly from the company. It might be the last time this time, but we'll see. Maybe it'll go back down. But I do love these miniatures. They are awesome, and they are super finely detailed. And I did assemble this set, and it looks really good. And I'll probably use them as a Phoenix Hawk, probably.
I was just going to say, we can use them as any of the Hawks, right?
Yeah, Phoenix Hawk or a Wasp or a, the Stinger and the Wasp are smaller, so that would be the regular ones. It's great for the Phoenix Hawk. But, yeah, so I'm probably going to be doing that.
Yeah.
And, I 3D printed a, Tachikomo from Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. And I love it. I love that little guy. I actually printed him at 50%. If you actually printed him huge, he'd be quite large, but, so yeah, I did that, and I've been trying to figure out scale to print some mechs out, and for Battletech, and man, you realize how small or large or crazy scaled Iron Wind metals are once you try to get other miniatures to scale to them. I printed a Mad Cat, and the Iron Wind metal Mad Cat looks like so skinny, it looks emaciated compared to the Mad Cat from, I think the design is from, It does. It looks really teeny. I think the one that I got was they do it based on the MechWarrior Online. I think that's where I get the files. And it looks like, and the way that I look at it though, it looks like what a Mad Cat looks like to me. And the Iron one I never liked because it did always look skinny to me. So these new printed ones look better. So
it looked like it took a hot bath.
Yeah, I can't wait to compare it to the Catalyst ones from the Kickstarter. That'll be coming, so it'll be fun to compare the 3D printed to the Iron Wind. I'll take some pictures and show them on the Kickstarter and the Discord, just to show the difference of all three once we get those in. It is delayed, that Kickstarter, but what did you expect? It's coming from China, so.
Yep.
Other than that, I haven't done anything. I've been painting up a lot of Hellboy. That's what I've been painting up, so I haven't done any actual painting. So, what about you, Brian? I'm sure you've been busy.
Yeah. Been pretty busy. Still, sadly, haven't broken out the ExFil.End kit. But I did. I'm trying to remember. I think the big thing I've kind of started in on is I'm going to start painting up some more of my Imperial Assault guys. So eventually I'll get to the ATST that comes with that box set, but I'm going to be painting up a lot of the minis for that, just to kind of have a little Star Wars kick. And yeah, I'm still working on getting around to the ExFil.End kit. My hobby room is now sharing a space with the little kitten and his litter box, so making that work.
Well, you just build the ExFil.End so he can ride it.
Exactly.
It's one way to do it.
Kitty mech.
How about you, Pat?
Me, so I have also been doing a lot of 3D printing and some painting. I've been kind of messing around now with making some lances, because I want to get a bunch of pre-made lances ready in case somebody gets it in their bum to want to play a game of Battletech out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Rob turned me on to a nice little app called Mech Factory. So I've been building lances in that thing, and to be honest with you, it's hard to make an assault lance within 5,000 battle value BVs. But I think I've gotten it.
Nice.
I'm using a Bargisk, if that makes any sense.
Four-legged mech.
It's a four-legged mech.
Nice.
What's the world come
for
to?
the Lyrans. It's great.
And you're printed. Oh, you haven't decided what you're painting them as yet, right?
Which ones?
The ones this lance you're making. You don't know what you're going to paint it. What?
Oh yeah. No. So my salt lance, I'm going to paint the Lyran Alliance Arcturan Guards, which I've started and I've now seemed to regret wholeheartedly that I chose that.
Because they're white.
Because I forgot how much painting white sucks.
Hey, you got to get the Liquitech stuff. Try that.
But I just can't do it like that. I gotta do it my way, and my way is always ridiculous and laborsome.
Well, this is just the Liquitex. I guess is just for the airbrush. It'll just cover. It's got nice coverage supposedly.
Oh yeah, but you see that's the thing. I based it in gray so I can have shadows. So I'm building up from the gray to white.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's laborsome and tedious and probably more work than it needs to be.
What white paint are you using?
That's what I know. I'm using Vallejo, just plain white or Blanco, as it says on the other side of the bottle.
They are Spanish. Is it good coverage? Usually white. I find the white paint's usually really thin. I find it not coverage.
That's why I like the Vallejo, because it's really thick.
Yeah, it's
and good coverage. I have to actually water it down a little bit because sometimes it gets a little too gummy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather have to water it down than the other one.
Yeah. And then I created a heavy lance. I can't even remember what's in that thing. But I know that Phoenix Hawk was in it because we were talking about using that Valkyrie in place of the Phoenix Hawk model because we don't have one.
I think Phoenix Hawk's a medium, isn't it? I don't know anymore. But you...
so that I'm painting as the Lyran regular guard. So that'll be green, I think is what it is. Green with tan, I think is what it is. I have to go back and look at the paint scheme again. So as far as Lance Green, that's what I've kind of been working on. I did 3D print a giant Marauder many months ago, and I've got around to painting it, and I wanted to paint it up real nice. And I worked a little bit on it the other night, and I decided to make that a Lyran Palace Guard mech. So it's all nice and blue. There's gold down the side. The weapons have gold highlights or gold all together. And I think it's turning out all right. I got most of the detail work done. I just got to now paint the unit markings on it, and it should be done.
Yeah, you have to post that up on the Facebook. I'm sure you will when you're done.
As soon as I get the unit marks done, I will,
Yeah.
It's going to probably be the 4th. I like to do all my lances as the 4th, because, I like 4. So it'll be the 4th Palace Guard Marauder. How big do you think that thing is?
It's pretty close to 28 millimeter scale. I think it actually is 20 millimeter scale. Well, I think that's why, if it's the same size as mine, which I think you did, I think it's 28 millimeter. Yeah. So it's 160s, whatever.
Yeah, so it's pretty big. It's a good 10 inches tall, I would say.
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
Yeah. So it looks good. Yeah, it looks good. So it's turning out all right. I got a nice blue on it, gold technique. I started using the Creature Caster transparent paints. And it makes a really nice little gold when you put down a silver, and then you put the transparent yellow on top of it. It looks really, really good. Yeah,
it's really neat how that works. Like, you showed me it, and I'm like, well, whatever. But then you showed me it's so bright, like it's such a nice, bright, vibrant gold. Usually gold is kind of a little darker. All the gold paints I have, there's many different shades of gold, but that one's a very bright gold, and it looks really nice, especially compared to the blue next to the blue. Like, it's a nice combo.
Yeah.
And hopefully by the time people hear this, you'll have put it up there so people can see it.
Oh, yeah. It should be. I think tomorrow's when I want to head down there and paint up the unit markings, because unlike most people who use decals, I'm going to hand paint them on because I'm stupid.
You do that for every frickin' model you do. You did that with the Raptor and the Viper for Thing too, didn't you?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't know. That's what I do.
Especially on the Raptor, you can't see half the stuff because it's all covered up, and you still did it all.
I know. So, anything else that I do?
You do what you do.
Yeah, I think that's it. As far as working on Marauders, Lances, Battletech. I think Miniature Market was having a sale on the neoprene Battletech maps, so I bought a couple of those.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was like, they're very cheap. I can't remember how much they were. They're normally $40, I think. I think
Probably
they were $22.
like that.
Yeah, I think they were $22 on Miniature Market for a little bit.
That's nice. Amazon's been having the starter sets on for $15 again too, or $16 or whatever they were. But they sell out so quick. You have to get on. You have to, when someone posts it, you have to go right then and do it. I got lucky the first time, but every other time I've seen it, it's been sold out. So cool.
So all right. I think that's all we have as for my Dropship. I can't wait to get that mod up for you guys to see, and other things like that. So I think we have a Mad Cat, big one, right? That we print.
I printed up. Yeah, one of my first things I printed was that Mad Cat, because that's why I bought a 3D printer. And I've been looking at color schemes for him too. Hopefully by next show I'll have painted him.
I think I want to size up a Battlemaster if I can. Nice. Not that well with Cure, because the Battlemaster's always been my favorite mech.
Yeah. The thing with that sizing it up, you have to print it in one piece. Whereas these kits for the Marauder and the Mad Cat or the Timberwolf were separate pieces, which is much easier.
Yeah. Again, I'm not that good with slicing up models, and
yeah, it's harder to do that for sure.
So anyone listening that has a Battlemaster that's all sliced up and ginormous, let me know, because I'd be more than willing to want to
post it on
print it up and paint it.
Yeah,
give you a shout out.
If not, you're gonna have to just do it.
That's all I can afford is a shout out.
Yeah, do it all as one giant piece. That'd be interesting to see if your printer can handle that. It'd probably be easier than trying to do them little. It'd just take like 5 days probably.
Yeah, I mean, that Battlestar Galactica giant one did pieces, but it turned out all right.
But you, how much did it take to print one of those pieces? Because that pretty much filled your whole printer, didn't it?
Yeah, each piece almost filled my whole printer. I'd say 20 hours was the longest on one.
That's not horrible. Yeah, because you don't need the super detail like you would on a miniature, so that's cool. Yeah, I would go for it. Just size up a Battlemaster and see what happens.
I'll give it a shot and see what happens.
The supports for it would be larger than most things.
Yeah.
It's true. It'd be a nice experiment. We'll figure it out. All right, so how about we move on to ComStar and talk about some news and other things.
Sounds good.
Message from ComStar.
All right. ComStar. Books, movies, and news, video games, and whatsoever. Rob, you want to take ComStar?
Yeah, I'll start with I'll do the news for you guys. Well, that I know of.
Yeah.
Maybe Brian's got some more news, but Transformers War for Cybertron Netflix trailer is out. Have you guys both watched the trailer for the new Transformers TV show?
Yeah.
I did. It looks really good.
It looks interesting, that's for sure. I'm kind of excited.
I'm curious. I'm curious to see if that Metroplex shows up, because there was a giant arm shooting through the middle of the ground on one of the things. So
yeah.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the video games centered around that, like the war and the fall of Cybertron.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely excited for the series.
Yeah, and they so that's coming out, and it has Skyfire. I think they'll probably call him Skyfire or Jetfire in it, which I'm excited. He's my favorite. They also announced season 2 is already in the works, and that looks like it's going to have a big Beast Wars vibe. So if anybody's a Beast Wars fan, which I'm not, but like I'm not a Beast Wars fan. I've just never watched it. So, but I've heard it's really good, and so season 2 is going to combine G1 and what's that?
I was just going to say, like, strangely enough, I think Beast Wars and Beast Machine might have been, I don't know if I'd say my first foray into Transformers and GoBots and stuff, but like, there's definitely one that I remember distinctly.
Yeah, that'd be about the right time scale for you. You'd have been right age for that when that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The early days of CG. That reboot.
Yeah, I loved Reboot. That was a great show. But yeah, it's the same company made those two, so I think we discussed that before. We discussed this before. I remember discussing this. Anyways, so that's season 2, so people are excited. It's going to combine G1 and Beast Wars, I think, in some time, maybe some time travel happening, so we'll have to discuss that later.
Oh.
Hint. Also, Netflix Ultraman season 2 is coming out. Pat, how excited are you for that?
Yeah, I'm very excited, because Ultraman was actually very good. And it kind of took a twist at the end there, when, you didn't know who was good and who was bad. Or you thought you knew who was good and who was bad. And then it just kind of went sideways at the end of the season. I was like, oh.
So season 2 should be fun?
Yeah, I think so.
Pat, you found this one about Gundam Extreme versus Maxiboost ON.
Yeah, it's a new video game coming out for PS4, I guess. I'm not too familiar with the Maxiboost On itself, but it's I guess it's based on an old 2016 Japanese arcade game that was very famous. It's like a 2v2 arena battle.
Okay.
So very, very, very curious about that. I've been looking into getting a PS4 also for other things, and if I can get a nice, good look at that Gundam Extreme versus Maxiboost On, it'll be great. I mean, apparently, reading through it says you can play all 138 different units from all the different Gundam shows.
Oh, nice.
So that'd be kind of fun.
That in itself is going to be cool as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, PS4, I'm looking into getting one because of Cyberpunk's. And by the time Cyberpunk comes out, it'll probably be super cheap. PS5 will be out by then, so hopefully Cyberpunk's still made for it.
You think they'll do allowed to do a retro?
Well, Cyberpunk's
I know in the past, Xbox and Sony have not been very kind with
retro, a reverse compatibility.
Yeah, retro, like being able to play PlayStation 4 games on PlayStation 5.
Well, when you pre-order Cyberpunk 2077 right now, they say that you get it for PS4, but you'll be able to also get it for PS5. The same game, because they know it's right on the edge of switching consoles. They don't want people not to buy it, so they're saying that when you buy it now, it'll be good for both. So it'll be all digital anyways by that point.
Did you buy it now?
No, because I don't own a PS4 yet.
Getting 2 editions of the game because it's pre-ordering for like $50, I think. So
well,
when it comes
not
out,
in Canada.
$70.
In Canada, it's like 70 something. Yeah, so
yeah.
I was going to pre-order for my computer, but I'm not sure if my computer can run it. So then I was like, well, maybe I'll just buy a PS4. But then I looked at the price of PS4, and they're still ridiculously priced, even though PS5 is coming out soon. So
I don't get it either, but
so we'll see.
The backwards compatibility question, I haven't looked into it yet, or I don't know if they've made an official statement. I know a big part has been that like the hardware of previous generations isn't compatible, which was like the big transition from like PS1 and PS2 had the same like graphics chip or something like that.
Yeah, so it could just be backwards compatible.
Yeah. Then they got rid of that in the PS3, and so on and so forth. So I kind of feel like it's probably not going to be backwards compatible. It's probably going to be one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, and you can rebuy your games.
Yeah, or it's all digital now. They could easily just make it, you have to re-download it, and it's the new version. Like, they could do it. But then they wouldn't be getting you to pay for it twice. Yeah, I know.
Exactly. So, yeah. And Sony and Microsoft are notorious for doing that anyway, so.
Yeah.
Or within a year, they'll be, guess what we're going to do? We're going to release a bundle that allows you to play retroactive games.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's funny when you kind of think of like the Nintendo side of things where like none of their stuff has really been backwards compatible.
They didn't care and nobody cared either.
Yeah. They just made really good games.
Yeah. Or they just moved it along and they didn't put out
it would be a new version. Yeah,
they didn't put out a new game prior to a release of a new console. So
yeah, they controlled the distribution a little bit more than these other companies who have a lot of other people making games for them. That's probably what the issue is. Not to mention, Cyberpunk should have been done 6 months ago, and that would have been fine for the end of PS4, beginning of PS5. They wouldn't have had to do this, but since it got delayed, I think it's delayed to November now. So
I think so.
Yeah, so, and that's if it even gets done by November. Like, make sure it's done. Don't put it out undone. So I'm fine with them delaying it. It's gonna screw up with the release of PS5. Because I think PS5's coming out for Christmas, isn't it? I think it is.
It might be, yeah.
So, it'll be close. Also in news, we have Redline, who we talked about last month, with the Kickstarter is coming out, the tactical card combat game Redline, on August 3rd. So everybody get ready, August 3rd. And they're also doing some 3D, I think it's Shapeways models that they're going to be available for pledging, and they had a preview of one of the mechs that they have. He looks pretty cool. So they're for the card game, I don't think it'd be playable in the card game. It's more like a collector's thing. They'll be available too in the Kickstarter.
I think it's a nice little thank you, or you can just have it sitting on the side.
Yeah, I'm curious.
When you play that card, physical representation.
I wonder if it's how it's going to work. We'll have to see for the if it's going to come free with the Kickstarter, or you have to pay extra. I would assume you pay extra because it's not going to be cheap to do all this.
Well, it said back a reward, so I'm going to say.
Yeah, who knows? We'll have to see. Maybe for a certain level, maybe a certain tier, they'll have those. So. Yeah,
and that's all right. I think it's just cool that you're gonna. You're starting with a card game, and you're gonna be able to have a couple models just to. Yeah. So this is what it looks like in quote unquote real life.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. Release the STLs. Put out a Kickstarter just with the STLs for them. We'll back that too. That's it I have for news, and Pat and I kind of thought of stuff. Anything you got, Brian? Anything you've been seeing?
Not. I think the big thing that I had seen was the War for Cybertron trailer. As far as news goes, been a little out of it.
Yeah, not in the loop.
Yeah.
I also, we looked through. There hasn't been much news. Like, usually we post it on the Kickstarter. On the Facebook. Yeah. Any news we find, but there hasn't been too much released right now. I think everything's getting caught up to the distribution blockhead that happened in March. That I think it's coming around now that everything is delayed, so nothing's being announced for summer right now. all the TF cons have all been canceled, which sucks, because there was going to be one in Chicago and one in Toronto. Me and Pat could have switched cities. And, but yeah, unfortunately all that's been canceled, so hopefully by next, Gen Con, well, that's why Pat's been off lately, is Gen Con was supposed to be this coming weekend at the time of recording, so it's a lot of stuff that we would have had a lot more news, I think, if this stuff had been going on.
Tomorrow would have been the day we left. We left for
yeah.
I think
I saw it on my calendar, and I was like, oh, that just makes me sad.
It does me too. That's always a good time. It's very busy, but it's always a good time.
Yeah, it would have been not tomorrow. It's next week. Next week would have been.
Oh yeah, a week from today would have been the day we were leaving the next day.
Yeah. But still, it would have been a good time. And unfortunately, we look forward to seeing the Ironwind Metal guys. We look forward to going through the Catalyst booth, showing all the new stuff that's on offer at Gen Con for everybody. And it's gonna be weird. I guess they're gonna do some online stuff for it, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, and there's an online store where you can get like the stuff that was supposed to be released at Gen Con through some of the stores. But
I did. There was one thing I stumbled upon. That I thought was kind of neat. It's closely tied to, mechs, but there's this thing called Atomic Armor, the tabletop battle game for modular tanks. It popped up in my feed as like a little ad, and I'm like, I gotta say I'm kind of intrigued. I don't think they have much together yet. I think it's still kind of like gearing up for a crowdfunding campaign.
What's it called?
Atomic Armor.
Is it armor spelt like
the UK?
UK so, with a U? Yeah.
OU. But
there's a lot of things called Atomic Armor. That's the only problem.
Right. So let me see. I can probably share this into our Skype. Listeners at home, you get into a secret conversation here.
Yeah, it's an Indiegogo thing. I'm looking at it now.
Interesting.
But yeah, I'm always kind of intrigued by modular games and stuff like that, where you can really kind of assemble your mech or your tank, as it were, really kind of build out something and then take it into battle.
Yeah, it looks like they're using plastic sprues for the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so, that's neat.
Just a little something to kind of keep my eye on. I think it could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, everybody else should keep their eye on it too. As for me personally, I've finished watching my Pat Labor, all the series. I finished watching the regular series, which had some really odd episodes, especially near the end. I'm like, really, for the end of the series? These are some really dream scenarios, and it was really odd.
Yeah.
Then I watched the live action movie, and I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, and the characters are just slightly off enough. I think it's supposed to be in the future, and the people's names are similar, but they're not the same people. But some of them are the same people. And
it's supposed to be after the cartoon.
Yeah, but it's I think the main guy, in the regular Pat Labor, the main head of the group is called Goto, and then this one is Gotobo or something like that. Very similar name, but it's not the same guy. It was really weird. And then you only see the Pat Labors at the very end. They kind of get some action, and you can see them, that was fun. But was it good? It wasn't bad. It was just confusing me.
That's how I when I watched it, I was just like, all right.
Yeah, a lot of these live action anime shows, they do live action. They did Attack on Titan, I heard wasn't very good.
And there was a live action Attack on Titan?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's two.
But
movies.
They're all adults, I guess, instead of, in the whole point of Attack on Titan, they're kids, and they're doing this. And I guess in the movies, they're adults, and it seems weird.
And they have super German names or something like that.
I don't know what goes on with the translation from anime to live action. What happens, the Space Battleship Yamato one could have been really, really good, but It just is not.
Did they just had Steven Tyler?
Did they change characters? Like, it's just so weird when you have this iconic characters and you do a live action version.
Yeah, they didn't change the characters, but they changed the enemies. Like Deathlock and all those guys they're bugs. They were bugs. They weren't even a people.
And it was supposed to be the same people though, but they just changed them instead of making a new enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah.
They said it was the same bad guys.
Yeah, it was the Gomorrans, I think. Gomorrans? Gamma? I forget what it is.
The Gammas.
Gamera.
That's the turtle.
Yeah.
And I think the Gomorrans are the pigs from Star Wars.
Yeah, it's Gomorran.
Gamelons. It's the Gamelons, yeah.
Anybody who has seen some live action anime movies, put them below and let us, in the Facebook or on Twitter or anywhere else, let us know some good ones. Because so far they've been either not good or just so.
Yeah, like Space Battleship Yamato, I mean, the action and the cinematography was good. You just took away an essential part of this damn story by turning a race of people into bugs.
It's probably just easier to murder them in mass when they're just bugs.
Then it kind of took on a Starship Trooper kind of feel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It really did.
I've also started watching all the Ghost in the Shells again in chronological order. So I started with the movie, but I chose the 2.0 version because I'd never seen it, and they replaced a lot of the scenes with CGI, and it was not very good. It really distracted me and annoyed the hell out of me. And the whole time I'm like, why didn't I just watch the original? Why didn't I just watch the original version? It's the same movie. They just replaced parts with CGI, and it's just, It wasn't bad CGI. It doesn't look bad. It just irks me that it goes from like really beautiful anime to CGI, then back. Like it's just really jarring.
I don't think I've ever seen that version of it.
Don't do it. It'll ruin it. Just watch the original. If you care, just watch the original again. Or I think there's a remastered version that cleaned it up a bit. That's probably fine. I also watched all of season 1 of Standalone Complex, which that's where my love of the Tachikoma come from. So I've been watching that. I haven't got to season.
I've always argued that Standalone Complex is still like one of the best shows on television, even though it came out like in 2005.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so like near future problems that we're gonna have to deal with really soon.
And
culturally.
It had kind of a like an overarching theme through the whole series, but also had dealt with all different things to do with cybernetics and futurism and you really got to know all the characters a lot more than the movie. Like I can't watching Ghost in the Shell again. It's only like 70 minutes long. It's a short movie. I don't remember it being that short. I was like, oh yeah. And then because a lot of the parts I remember are like, oh no, that was actually in Standalone Complex. It wasn't actually in the movie. So a lot of the characters and stuff, and Tachikomas and stuff like that they all show up here, and it's great. Yeah, if anybody hasn't, I've only watched the first season so far. I haven't watched Second Gig yet, but that first season is great, and it had a beautiful arc. And by the end, you're like, oh my god, how are they going to come back from this? This is crazy. And then it's really good. So
I've heard some people have liked the new Standalone Complex season that just came out on Netflix.
Yeah, I haven't got to that yet. I'm watching chronologically. That's 2045, I think it's called.
I think so.
Yeah. And, so that's what I've been doing. What about you guys?
Well, you did steal a little bit of my thunder because I did finally finish all of Pat Labor.
Did you? That's great.
Yep. I watched, except the live action stuff, but I kind of went through all but the new files, as far as the TV series, because the new files, only like 4 of them had been dubbed in English, and then it would have been like another dozen or so episodes I would have had to watch subtitled, which I'm not opposed to.
No.
It just doesn't, like, the way I was viewing it and the time I had available, it's like, I don't have time to focus on this.
Having watched all of them and I watched the new files and it was subbed. The subs are so much better. The actors who play the characters are so much better in the Japanese version.
Yeah.
Because you've heard the American version. They get a little whiny and a little...
I could see that.
Like, yeah, they treat him a bit more seriously in the Japanese. Not much more seriously, but a little bit more seriously in the Japanese.
Sure. And I know what you mean about the series now, like where in the later episodes, it's like, we're kind of like dealing with, the Loch Ness Monster and the dream sequence that guy has about New York is great.
And then there's a sequel to that one in the Nuke Files. So you get that, look forward to that. It's crazy. The sequel is just so funny. So.
But then I did watch the 3 movies.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they like become less and less about the Pat Labor unit.
It's about the cop and the yeah.
Like the last one, which I kept misreading the title of it. And I think it was just like a visual thing. I just never like stopped and looked at it. I always thought it was like WW3 or like World War III. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be, intense. And it was like, it's actually supposed to be like W13. So it's like X111. Which, spoilers if you haven't seen it, just a light one, is like, it's actually like a monster movie.
Yeah.
There's like a giant monster in it.
Well, even the original OVA, there was a giant monster in Patlaverse, so you kind of knew it was coming.
Yeah, there was there's the giant crocodile in the sewers. They fight giant monsters all the time.
They do. They tend. There is a lot of genetic engineering going on in that world. Which
is funny because like the most serious like story thread throughout was just this like big fight with this competing like manufacturer guy. And he just like kept wanting to build up a newer, better mech to fight. And there was like, we're gonna fight the Ingram because that's the pinnacle of technology right now. Like, they really kind of struggle with regular laborers. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a fun show. Definitely recommend it for Mecha and like fans of chips, like old cop TV shows.
And it's got some, it's got a lot of relationship stuff and fun. It's very funny. It's way funnier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like even watching OVA, I was like, oh, this is silly. Oh no, this is funny. This is actually really, really funny.
Yeah. But so that was kind of the big thing I got into and finally finished up. So, trying to think if there's anything else. No. I'll think of it later, of course.
No video games or books or anything?
Not really. I've been more in a fantasy setting for those two things right now. But, yeah.
What about you, Pat? Watch anything?
Pat?
No, I haven't watched a lot of things, but I have been getting a lot of books. Lately, I have been getting the old FASTA Battletech source books.
Oh yeah, source books. Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten the House Steiner ones, the Lear and Alliance one. I got the cartoon Battletech cartoon one.
Can anybody guess what Pat's favorite house is?
It's not a clan.
Yeah, but you're very specific of what you like.
Yeah. But I did get the cartoon source book just because, nostalgia, and I kind of want to make a lance out of the cartoon guys, if I can figure out all the different mechs they used.
I like how in the actual Battletech universe that the cartoon's canon, but it is a cartoon in the Battletech universe. It's like a propaganda cartoon.
Yeah.
So because it explains why there's inconsistencies in the cartoon to the source. Like there's some of the things don't make sense. It's because that's not real. But it's hilarious.
It's all propaganda. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I did get quite a few Lyran stuff and the cartoon to aid in my lance building. Because a lot of that stuff I've forgotten since, I want to say the 80s and 90s. Weren't a very sober time for me. So I lost a lot of memory back then. So.
A lot of your brain cells have been killed since then.
Yeah. So all the things that stored, all the Battletech stuff stored in my head, it went out.
It was lost on tour somewhere.
Exactly. So it was. So I mean, it's been great looking through those old source books and stuff. I even think I picked up the WizKid one, which I'm not too happy with. But the FASTA ones. One thing FASTA has always been good for has been putting out a good source book.
Well, they put out so many. They were crazy back then.
Yeah, but, it was good to have all those source books because then it really fleshed out the world. And this is kind of what we went back to that one MechBay Hanger we talked about, backstories and fleshing out the world. It just really, when you can flesh out the world as well as you did, it does great. We mentioned it when we talked to our friend from Redline game and how he sort of got a lot of that fleshed out and talked about and on just the webpage. So, I mean, that goes a long way with me. I don't know about you guys, but a good story goes a long way with me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things.
So, but as far as TVs and movies, I have not been watching much more. I've kind of stopped watching Pat Labor as I got near the end because, like you said, it gets a little weird. Video game wise, didn't do too much. RPGs, waiting for my turn to come around, and maybe we'll do a little bit of Robotech because I've been still flipping through that book.
We got to play some Mechton too from our Talasaurian games.
Oh yeah.
So we might do that. I was supposed to run some Cyberpunk Red too, so we'll see. I'll fit a mech in there for us.
One thing I did manage to pick up is on the drive-through RPG, they had a big sale a while back, and I managed to get the Lancer core rulebook.
Oh, yeah, cool, yeah.
Oh, nice.
I backed the Kickstarter for Lancer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting system. Have you a chance to read through it yet?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
We'll have to report back.
But I haven't read it yet. So, all right. I think that was a nice, healthy ComStar. We got a lot of talking done. Let's move on to the MechBay and get to juxtaposing and figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
All right, welcome to the MechBay Hanger. Today's topic for the round table is something I was thinking about when I was watching some old Star Trek episodes. And it came to my mind is there have been any stories, or would it make good stories to throw time travel or time distortion in any of the mech backgrounds? Here we have like Cav or Battletech, or is there any, I don't know of any anime ones that are like in any of the Gundams that are time travels, time distortions kind of thing. Do you think, what do you guys think? Do you think it would make us little segues into Star Trek? Like, I was thinking like in Battletech, a time distortion where you end up where maybe the clans do win. God forbid.
God forbid.
Yeah.
And what happens, or you show up into a time where Kerensky doesn't wander off,
Or you go back in time and affect the history of it too. Like you cause Kerensky to lose or something because you go back. Yeah. You got to fix it. Speaking of time travel, though,
go ahead.
There was a rumor that the new Gundam series that's going to be coming out has something to do with time travel. So we'll have to see about that. It's just a rumor right now, so we'll have to see.
I think of existing shows, there's two that come to mind. One is Turne Gundam.
Does it have some time traveling?
Which as I understand, I have it, but I haven't watched it yet. But as I understand it, that was like a show that like went through and like crossed over the different universes.
Oh, like more dimensional stuff.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit more steampunk, honestly, from what I've been told about it. Neat looking series, But then there's also one called Gundam X, like After War, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another one that's been explained to me a bit. I think it's an alternate ending for like I think it's the original Gundam series.
Oh, right.
Where like things did not go well.
That's interesting.
And like the Earth became kind of desolate. Granted, it kind of becomes desolate anyway, but like, that our some of our heroes are there as kind of different characters because they took a darker turn. So I think those two would be kind of fun to check out. Yeah. There was an old PlayStation 2 Gundam game. And the name is escaping me right now. But part of the premise was you could play through the events of the 1 Year War up to Char's counterattack, I think. And, but you could play as different characters in different battles.
Mm.
And so, like, one big aspect of it was, like, you could really mess with the timeline, and the game would reflect that. So, like, Jared Mesa, like, if you won at certain battles, like, suddenly he is the leader of the Titans, and the Titans win the Grips War. Like, that's just kind of fun stuff to really mess with time.
Yeah, I mean,
that's neat.
Looking through, I just don't see a lot of that kind of style of story in the mech. I mean, the only thing I can think of that has a kind of time distortion effect is that Ashley Pollard book, the first one, Bad Dog, where the main character is stuck in her mech, reliving kind of, what is that Tom Cruise movie, Edge of Tomorrow?
Yeah, they have sort of mechs in that too. I was going to mention that.
Yeah, but in the Ashley Pollard book, that the main character, I always forget her name, just keeps reliving the day she dies in her mech over and over again until she gets out of that time loop. I don't think there's any other. I think the last thing I think in Battletech, there's I forget what it's called, League of something, Legends or something like that.
Legends of Tomorrow.
I think it's called Living Legends, a mech war storybook where a jump ship, and then not so much, I think, if I remember right, time travels other than gets stuck in suspended animation and reawakens during the Clan War.
That makes sense. That could happen. The whole thing about those drives is that weird stuff can happen.
And, I mean, I think that could happen. You know, there's a type of story that's available there in BattleTech that could be just for fun. You know, it doesn't have to be a canon thing. It could be
that's an easy way to do it too. Yeah,
a what if series like Marvel Comics do. What if?
Because those drives, they fail all the time, so that would make sense that something like that could happen, because you are messing with time and space by traveling faster than light anyway, so.
There's a story where what if, you get your Star Trek ISS version where, Steiner and Davian are the evil houses and Lau and Kurita are...
Some people might say that already.
Well, you know what I meant to say.
Yeah, totally. Like they all have goatees and.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be cool. You could see.
Like I say, what if Maris had won or something?
Hans Davion with a goatee instead.
Yeah. Or what if Maris had won? What would the universe look like if Kerensky had failed? Yeah. Yeah. That would. Yeah. That could be crazy.
Like time distortions and really kind of messing with timelines. So that's like kind of one aspect of the time travel kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of like what we would see in kind of a mech space, because there's usually a lot of harder science at play. I like to see those series where they talk about like space travel.
Yeah, time dilation and stuff like that.
The time dilation.
Yeah.
So there's a show I've talked about before. I don't know if either you guys have seen it. It's Gunbuster.
Yeah, I keep wanting to watch it.
So, like, the series itself is not anything terribly crazy to write home about, but that is one part. So that was, like, one of the early series from Studio Gainax, the people that did Evangelion and Gurren Lagann. They basically made a giant mecha short, like OVA. It was like 6 episodes long, but a big component of it was, okay, these characters are going to be traveling at the speed of light, so every moment that they take on a mission, so much time is going to pass back on Earth. And so we follow a character who's like Noriko, who's going through kind of this weird high school academy thing to train to become a mecha pilot. And over the course of the show, she ages maybe a couple years, whereas her classmates by the very end have had like full lives practically. I think one of her classmates is a grandmother, and I don't know if you want me to spoil the finale.
Oh, go ahead.
But it's one of my favorite parts of the show, is that the characters go and to stop this invading alien force, they're like, okay, we have to detonate this black hole bomb, and they're like, we don't know if we're going to get out of here before this thing, break out of the event horizon, if you will. And they detonate the thing. They basically like recognize, okay, we're going to sacrifice ourselves. We're here. This is what we're doing. And it blows up, and we cut to them. It's basically just the torso of their mech is left, and it winds up over a planet. And they're like, what? Did we do it? Did we save the Earth? And slowly but surely, the planet's dark, but then all of a sudden the lights start coming on, and it's like, welcome back, gets spelled out in Japanese. And turns out they like flash forward almost 10,000 years into the future or something like that. But their sacrifice was like remembered, which I find really cool. Like they did that part really well in that series.
Yeah, it's cool. It reminds me of the Forever War books.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it's all about going away, and every time they go away, they fight in different waves, but every time they come back, the enemies are harder because years have passed. Like it's the whole time dilation thing is crazy. Well, obviously Interstellar, right? Like watching that movie, right. You really get the feel of what it's like for that whole, until the crazy ending, but the whole idea of just, yeah, I was down here for 5 minutes. You up there, it was 3 months or whatever, like it was just, yeah, it's pretty crazy to try to wrap your head around, that kind of idea. And
so, like, those are the kind of the two spaces I really see, like time traveling kind of manifesting with, in regards to like mecha and more kind of science fiction in that respect.
Yeah. How funny it would be if
cool.
You were a mech pilot jumping and you end up in another universe where, like you said, it's a steampunk mechs.
Right.
Yeah, you end up in like War Machine or somewhere like that, where it's just like, have a Battletech versus War Machine battle. Yeah,
I think that there's a lot of stories here that could be told, I suppose, if someone wanted to tackle it. God knows Star Trek bread and butter was nothing but time travel.
Especially the original series, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's any movie out there that didn't involve some kind of time travel.
Heck, even the Twilight Zone had an episode where some, I think, was it World War II or Korean War tank commanders go back to Custer's Last Stand. What
was that movie too? It wasn't Midway, but it was about the Battle of Midway, where some modern
countdown.
Yeah, the modern planes go back. Yeah,
where the F-14.
Yeah,
it was the Enterprise, wasn't it? That went back.
I think it was. Yeah,
USS Enterprise goes through a time hole, like portal, and almost goes to fight in World War II.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was the Nimitz.
Nimitz?
Oh, it was the Nimitz.
Because I remember a line, the senator who got shot down by a Japanese Zero was in the boat, and they said, where you're on the USS Nimitz. He goes, Nimitz. He goes, that asshole named the ship after himself.
That's funny. Yeah, it's like, well, one of my favorite movies also is the Philadelphia Experiment, which is a similar idea where the guys end up back in World War II, or from World War II and into the future, and like, yeah, it was, the idea of modern times doing that is fun, but I think even the dimensional travel is even more interesting, because, yeah, imagine mixing Robotech with Battletech or something like that. They'd be like, somebody in a Marauder, they think he was a small version of a officer's pod from the Zentradi or something like that. They get all confused.
I guess, why do you think there is a lack of stories in the mech universes that in this kind of genre?
Yeah, it seems like it would be, especially for an anime like OVA or something, it'd be an easy thing to do. Going back to World War II or something with a mech, like
I scoured a lot of anime, like that, and I could not find a lot. So then it made me think, it was like, really, why is this not a kind of an untouched thing for mechs?
I think Brian might be close with that. It's more based on hard sci-fi, right?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a component. You look at a lot of other more what's the word, like popular time travel franchises out there, and there's a lot of emphasis on the characters. More, we know, like, Marty McFly goes back in the past in a DeLorean.
Yeah.
But the focus isn't on the DeLorean necessarily. So
no, it's more on his adventures. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it's
the same thing. Could be done with a mech, though.
Yeah, it definitely could. Now I'm trying to remember if that Ideon show had time travel in it. But
I wonder what the question. I was just wondering if in Japanese anime, is time travel a thing? Maybe it's more of a North American thing, time travel more. How many other shows, even general anime shows, are about time travel?
Not even just general time travel, but like you said, time distortion, where you go to another universe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's a lot more of that.
Yeah, time travel, I think, is actually probably sits in a very similar space. There are quite a few shows that have time travel components. You look at Haruhi Suzumiya had 8 episodes where they did Groundhog's Day. 8 half-hour episodes. And then there's The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and Your Name has some time travel components. So, like, it's definitely something there. They really kind of play off the drama, I think, of between characters. Like, character drama has been a big area of the focus of a lot of those stories. So that's where it is certainly something where, like, this setting really could be in a science fiction, mecha explosions everywhere kind of setting, like Edge of Tomorrow, for instance. But I don't know. It definitely seems like a space that there could be a lot more really solid stories told in that way.
Yeah.
The crossover ones do kind of, like, where we kind of start dealing with, like, alternate timelines and stuff like that. With established franchises, I think that's a little harder for some people, because there is such a stranglehold on what is canon in some franchises. And so anything that deviates from that is like either fan fiction or, just discarded by the fans.
Yeah, no, I can kind of get that, but I guess
not opposed to seeing it. Like I'm also.
Why don't we see it even from say like the people who are writing stories for
It is odd.
Who are writing canon stories, I guess we're saying. I just...
especially, once again, the North America ones, because they all grew up on Star Trek, too. So, and Back to the Future, and, like, why, or even Terminator, like, why does that not happen in mech shows, or mech games, or mech... Maybe it does. Maybe we're just missing, there's a hole in our... Like, there probably is, maybe once again in Lancer, maybe there's some time travel, who knows?
That just made me think, I did see Terminator Dark Fate, and that's actually a really good movie, and more people should see it.
You did mention that last time.
Okay. I'm mentioning it again. Still good.
I mean, with the, I'm going to go back to Battletech again. With the jumping of space, there's plenty of avenue just to end up somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. That happens, but it happens in space, not so much in time. Like, lots of ships get lost in space.
Yeah, but
speaking of Lost in Space has time travel.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that's so much. I guess what I'm saying with the jumping is that not you're jumping, changing times, but with that, if you get lost in space, you can't get lost in dimensions.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Like the idea of that drive that it warps space. Obviously, it's warping time too. Like that's space and time are the same thing. So. Yeah. It obviously does mess with time. It just, nobody's explored that. They've explored, like, people getting lost and ending up on alien planets and stuff, but not time travel, yeah. It just, once again, maybe there is something, but I've read a lot of it, and I can't think of one thing in Battletech that somebody's written about time, going back in time.
I'm almost positive there's not one, too, but I would love to see, like, a mirror universe story.
Yeah, like, there's like you said, there's so many, you can either go back and change the history within, Battletech's such a deep history, or even go future. Imagine, like, somebody from 3025 going up and ending up in the Jihad or in the Dark Ages or even the Clan invasion. Like, how crazy that would be for that person to end up in these times. It's totally different worlds. Like,
suddenly especially everyone has a goatee.
Yeah, and or the fact that these people are the descendants of Kerensky and they came back and then they lost, but they're part of us, and like they'd be like, what the hell is going on here?
Well, it would be fun to play it like the second Back to the Future movie. What do? They go and steal a sports almanac.
Yeah.
And like basically if you know the history that's going to happen, you can rewrite it.
Yeah, you could. That'd be very interesting because to change, and then they realize it's not any better. You either rewrite it or you're doomed to fulfill it, and that's where you get to fun fate type things. Yeah, where and no matter what you do, you end up on the same track. Yeah. Yeah. So. There's a lot to think about, and I'm amazed that there's not more. Obviously, there is somewhere. People have been writing books, like you say.
I would hope so. I mean,
but not in the big franchises. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, that's the one weird thing. And with as many Star Trek and with the nerddom as it is, I'm going to call it a nerddom, who doesn't know a mirror universe of Star Trek? And even with the latest Discovery, I mean, for God's sakes, the whole damn first season was wrapped around the mirror universe.
Yeah. Heck, even the Star Trek movies that came out recently start with a time travel fiasco.
That's right, they changed it all. Yeah.
I can't handle that.
But I would like to see a Star Trek. A lot of people would recognize that.
On a tangent, I'm going to say I would just love for one time for a Star Trek movie to come out that didn't have a damn time travel aspect to it. Now, on the flip side of this coin, now I'm complaining about there's too many time distortions in Star Trek.
I think it really comes down to the vehicle. I think. With like, you could use the mech itself to have time travel capabilities, which I think would be fun.
Portal, yeah, or you could do the drive. You can even write a story about a mercenary unit, who has to set things right. All of a sudden, these things are not going the correct way.
Or a secret history where they have to keep traveling in time, fixing things, kind of thing too.
Yeah,
like Looper.
I will say that there is a Transformer that just came out that's based on the DeLorean. So there is time travel in Transformers, it seems. Actually, technically there is a bit of time travel in Transformers because, well, is there? It's weird because it's some of it's people just frozen in time and coming out many years later. But Beast Wars had some weird things about finding.
Beast Wars has some weird time travel things that I cannot explain.
Well, I'm sure the Japanese shows probably were even crazier with Star Convoy and stuff. So, but yeah, the idea. I think it's rich for doing. I'm amazed. There's literally hundreds of BattleTech books that have been written over the years, and I'm amazed that they have a thing like Far Country where they meet bird-like aliens who can talk, and yet they've never done a time travel story.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it's like coming down right from like Weissman, right at the beginning. No time travel. Like sometimes that happens, right?
Yeah,
time travel doesn't exist.
Like Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty said that there won't be no time travel in Rick and Morty. So maybe it's the same idea.
And if that was the case, then it's the explanation. Then I would know.
Yeah. We have to ask somebody in the know. Yeah, but it doesn't explain why it isn't in all the other franchises. Like,
so, any of you guys in the BattleTech world there that listen to us, let me know. Is there some kind of mandate where you can't talk about time distortion stories or time travel?
Like even like Macross or Robotech, like that's out. If anything, that'd be easy to do. Like I think
the book series I think has a time travel component at the very end.
The comic book is just the remix just came out. It has time travel. I forgot about that until I just mentioned it. That Dana Sterling comes back from the future to save the present.
Sarah Connor.
Oh yeah.
So, because the Invid are kind of invading too early. They're coming from another dimension and invading too early, and she has to come by and try to stop them. And she gets trapped in time, and she has to live. Her parents are about the same age as she is, and they don't like each other because she changed time. Because they realized they had a kid together. At the time, they were enemies. They're like, well, screw that. We're never going to be friends. We're never going to get together. They kind of, instead of falling in love, they hate each other more. So it's kind of. It's a fun little story, but unfortunately that, due to COVID, the writer got sick and then the book is all but canceled. There's no word on if it's coming back out, so we'll never get to the end to that story, but they had a lot of time travel in that story, so it just reminded me of that. We just
need all of those young authors that are, just getting their first manuscripts and put together that all grew up watching Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Not the original Doctor Who, but like the newer stuff.
The original's way better. Come on. The old
stuff's bad, but
it is better.
Have been writing for a while.
Yeah. Well, Doctor Who's hard because it is based on the time travel, based on a guy who's an alien who time travels. Like,
exactly.
I think Back to the Future, it's just a scientist who stumbled across it, kind of. That makes a lot more rich.
I use that as an example because you've got an entire TV series then based around the premise of different time travel shenanigans.
Yeah.
And it's like, you could easily take one of those scenarios and plop it into another setting.
Like I say, with the Terminator, that's the easiest one, I think. Mm-hmm. Just go back to try to fix things. But yeah, it's amazing that some of these big franchises aren't delving more into it. Maybe they are. Maybe they're starting to. But Battletech, I almost feel that it would be too easy for them and they just didn't do it. Like there's a mandate for them not to do it.
I know we mentioned Marvel, but like in the grand scheme, like Endgame,
yeah,
hinges on time travel.
And there's Hulkbusters in the Avengers movie, so it's back.
So that counts.
It counts.
But just to kind of hit home is like culturally, like I think the audiences, even like broader audiences are open to that kind of concept. So,
yeah, there's been tons of movies lately about. I think it's because nobody wants to live in the current time that I think time travel has become more popular.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see in 6 months that everything will be about alternate futures and time travel. So.
Yeah. Definitely.
Man, now I'm thinking of that movie, The One.
With Jet Li? Jet Li?
With Jet Li. So, like, the intro sequence of that movie, like, the two worlds that we get to see, one has Al Gore winning the election, and the other one has George Bush.
Oh, really? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What about butterfly effect? How about the butterfly effect, doing that in any kind of genre? So you change one little thing and everything unravels.
Now all of our mechs are pink.
Yeah, that's right. Or they're all got 4 legs, and the 2-legged ones are the odd ones.
Well,
I think that was an interesting conversation, because it is confusing why it isn't more. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any good reason why we couldn't have some novels or movies, and not Battletech in general, but with more of the mecha-oriented cartoons out there, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting. It just, this all started from watching Star Trek, and I was like, why is Star Trek so overloaded with time travel, and none of the other things that I like have them?
I'm amazed Evangelion doesn't have time travel in it.
So there's an argument that there could be some time traveling in Evangelion.
Yeah. Well, just because they kind of reboot it?
In that, it's quite possible that the world has repeated itself several times and gone in a big cycle. But that's probably a discussion for another time.
Like Battlestar.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Crazy. I just try to think of the craziest show there is, and that always pops in my head for some reason.
All right. Well, that was interesting. Anyone else that wants to chime in, feel free to post in the Facebook, in the comment section, in the Discord.
If you have any suggestions, we'd love to see them.
Or if you know of something that we are missing, please feel free. I mean, I'm just...
Or if you're a writer, please just write one of these stories. Just even a short story so we can read it.
I guess just to say, I'm not saying I'm for or against either one. I'm curious as to why it doesn't happen more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was very interesting. Again, comment and post, and let's recap in the ExFil, yeah?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Let's ExFil out of here.
All right, the ExFil. We're done with another episode of Season 3. Nice little recap, I guess. August 3rd, Redline, Kickstarter starting. Pledge in if you're if you're a big fan of card games and Battletech. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one for you. What else we got going on? Anything else that we want to shout out to?
The War for Cybertron show's starting up soon.
Yep, watch Transformers.
Transformers.
Other than that, everyone stay healthy, man. Everything's going crazy again because people aren't being smart. Just
stay smart.
Yeah, just be safe. Think of other people. That's all. If you thought about other people, then everyone would get sick. And that's my soapbox. I don't want to get too far on it.
That's all good.
It's because Pat works in a hospital. That's why he gets on the soapbox.
I mean, it makes sense.
Again,
don't let that get in your way, though.
I'm not gonna get in the way. Let me know if you know any other time travel stories because I'm very curious about this thing. It's been eating at me for the last 3 weeks.
Pat gets something in his brain. He can't get it out.
I can't. So, good episode, guys. Thank you. I guess we'll be coming on, and I guess this will be dropping right around just before the Kickstarter for Redline. So,
yep, August 1st. This will be dropping. So in a couple days.
Yep. Again, I'm gonna.
Soon.
Cameron was a nice enough guy to come on and chat with us last month. And showed us a lot of good things with the card game, and he seems to be very passionate about it, enough to the point where he's already written a fairly intricate history.
And he's been doing great ads for the Kickstarter too. My favorite is the Wolverine one where he's looking at a picture and he's pining over it, and it's the old Battletech CCG in the picture. I thought that was hilarious.
That's awesome.
Also, if anybody has any other Kickstarters or anything you want to give us a shout out, we'd love to have you on. Talk about it. Any mech related stuff?
Oh yeah, definitely. Any mech related Kickstarters you got coming on, we'll want to have you on. We'll talk about it. We'll throw some posts up and try and get you as much interest as we can generate, and with our little podcast here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so, all right. Well, guys, it was fun chatting with you. Brian, congratulations once again on your wedding.
Sure, thank you.
Say hi to Mrs. Novak for us.
Will do.
And for Mobile Arm Radio, I am Chopper.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Rob.
And we'll see you next month. Who's up next, Rob?
Yep, I'm next.
Thanks, Rob.
And Rob will be our Masters of Ceremony at that time. So until then, Assault Scout Squads, go.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter @MArmorRadio. Find us on iTunes and visit our website, mobilearmorradio.podbean.com. Join us on the first of every month for more mecha discussion.